Whoa!
We're going down!
Food!
Boom! Their spaceship crashed behind a giant glowing sign. It said Burger Bonanza. The spaceship sputtered and smoked.
My tummy is rumbling louder than the spaceship.
First disguises, we need to blend in with the Earthlings.
Blip, fascinated by a glowing ketchup packet, accidentally squeezed it on Zorp's head.
Oops, sorry, Zorp. Blip, focus. And Munchie, stop trying to eat the spaceship.
Munchie was gnawing on the spaceship door.
But it smells like spicy metal.
Zorp sighed. This was going to be tricky.
Look!
Blip pointed to a window inside Burger Bonanza. People were eating giant stacked sandwiches.
They look deliciously dangerous.
Munchie drooled.
Let's go get some.
Zorp put on a fake mustache that tickled his nose. Blip wore a backwards baseball cap that covered his eyes. Munchie put on a bib.
Ready for yummy Earth food.
They peeked at the menu. It had strange words like Whopper and Big Bacon Deluxe.
This must be their alien language. I want a fizzy explosion.
I want it all.
We will try one quadruple stack supreme first.
The food arrived with a dramatic flourish, as if the entire restaurant had been waiting for this very moment. The waiter, grinning from ear to ear, carefully balanced a tray that looked like it belonged in a cartoon, not real life. The table shook slightly under the weight of the meal, and everyone leaned in, eyes wide with anticipation. It was even bigger and brighter than the pictures. The burger was stacked so high it nearly touched the lamp above, and the fries spilled over the edge of the tray like a golden waterfall. The colors were so vivid, it almost looked too good to eat. Almost. Blip's fizzy explosion fizzed and popped, sending tiny bubbles dancing up the sides of the glass. The sound was like a miniature fireworks show, crackling and popping, making everyone giggle with excitement. The sweet, tangy scent of the soda filled the air, mixing with the aroma of crispy fries and juicy burgers. Zorp stared at the towering burger with ketchup dripping down the sides, his mouth hanging open in disbelief. He'd never seen so much ketchup in one place before. The burger seemed to wobble slightly, as if daring someone to try and take the first bite. But before anyone could take a bite, Munchie leaped up from his seat, his chair nearly toppling over behind him. His eyes sparkled with mischief, and he looked ready for anything. The others barely had time to react before he was already on his feet.
Food adventure! Munchie shouted, pumping his fists in the air. His friends cheered along, their laughter echoing through the restaurant. The excitement was contagious. Everyone at the table felt like they were about to embark on a wild, delicious quest.
He yelled and zoomed into the kitchen, moving so fast he was just a blur of color and energy. The kitchen doors swung open with a bang, and the sounds of sizzling, chopping, and clattering grew louder. Munchie was on a mission, and nothing could stop him now.
Munchie! No! Someone cried, their voice rising above the noise. The whole table jumped to their feet, unsure whether to chase after him or hide under the table. The restaurant staff looked on in shock, unsure if this was part of the show or a real food emergency.
Crashes and bangs echoed from the kitchen, as if a tornado had just touched down among the pots and pans. Chefs ducked and dodged as utensils flew through the air, and the clatter of metal on tile rang out like a wild symphony. The chaos was both hilarious and a little bit scary. Then, a giant ketchup bottle came flying through the air like a rocket. It spun end over end, trailing a stream of bright red ketchup behind it. Everyone ducked as it soared over their heads, splattering a perfect squiggle onto the burger below.
This is even better than I imagined, someone shouted, their eyes wide with amazement. The whole group burst into laughter, unable to believe what they were seeing. It was the most exciting meal they'd ever had, and it wasn't even over yet.
Blip cheered, dodging a flying pickle that whizzed past his ear. The food adventure had turned into a full-blown food frenzy, with everyone joining in the fun. Laughter, shouts, and the sounds of flying snacks filled the air, making it a meal they'd never forget.
The kitchen door swung open with a dramatic bang, and Munchie burst into the room atop a giant rolling cart. He was a hilarious sight, completely covered in ketchup and lettuce, looking like a walking, talking salad. The cart wobbled as he zoomed past the startled cooks, leaving a trail of pickles and tomato slices in his wake. Everyone in the kitchen froze for a split second, unsure whether to laugh or duck for cover. Munchie's eyes sparkled with mischief, and his wild entrance set the tone for what was about to become the most unforgettable food fight in the restaurant's history. In one hand, Munchie brandished a giant spatula like a sword, and in the other, he clutched a fistful of golden crispy fries. He raised both high above his head and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Food fight!" The word echoed through the kitchen, bouncing off the stainless steel counters and sending a ripple of excitement through everyone present. It was as if a switch had been flipped. Suddenly, the kitchen was no longer a place for order and recipes, but a battleground for culinary chaos.
Without hesitation, Munchie flung the fries into the air, sending them spinning and tumbling in slow motion. The fries seemed to hang in the air for a moment, glinting in the fluorescent lights like golden confetti. All around, people gasped and then grinned, realizing that the food fight had officially begun. The air was suddenly filled with the scent of fried potatoes and the sound of laughter. At first, there was chaos. People screamed in surprise, ducking behind counters and grabbing whatever food was within reach. But almost instantly, the fear turned to joy. Laughter erupted as everyone realized this was all in good fun. The restaurant, usually so orderly, was now a playground where the only rule was to have as much fun as possible. In the midst of the flying food, one quick-thinking kid leaned back and caught a perfectly tossed fry right in his mouth. His friends cheered, and he grinned with pride, showing off his new talent as the unofficial fry-catching champion of the day. Another child, not to be outdone, plopped a burger bun on his head like a crown. He strutted around the room, pretending to be the king of the food fight, his royal subjects bowing and giggling as he passed by. The creativity was contagious. Soon, everyone was coming up with their own silly food-themed costumes and tricks. Some kids started stacking onion rings and fries into wobbly towers, challenging each other to see who could build the tallest structure before it toppled over. Others used napkins as capes, dashing through the chaos like superheroes of snack time. Soon, the entire restaurant was swept up in the madness. People of all ages were tossing food, ducking behind tables, and laughing so hard they could barely stand. Someone slipped on a spilled milkshake, sending a wave of giggles through the crowd. It was a scene of pure, unfiltered joy, messy, sticky, and absolutely unforgettable. The floor was a patchwork of ketchup splatters, fallen fries, and half-eaten burgers. But nobody cared about the mess. In that moment, the only thing that mattered was the fun they were having together. It was pure, messy, delicious chaos, and everyone was in on the joke.
Whoa, I never knew food could be so much fun. I always thought you were supposed to eat it, not wear it or throw it across the room. But this is a whole new level of awesome. I wish every meal could be like this.
I must admit, this Earth custom is surprisingly enjoyable. Where I come from, food is always serious business. But here, you've turned it into a celebration. I think I could get used to this kind of fun.
In the middle of the chaos, a girl with a crown made entirely of French fries stood on a chair and shouted, "This is amazing!" Her friends cheered, and she took a playful bow, her fry crown wobbling precariously but staying put. It was a moment of pure, silly triumph. Whipped cream flew through the air like snow, landing on faces and hair. People squealed and wiped it off, only to get hit again seconds later. The laughter was contagious, spreading from table to table until everyone was part of the fun. Even Zorp and Blip, who had never seen anything like this before, were caught up in the excitement. By the end, they were both covered in whipped cream, giggling uncontrollably, and high-fiving each other. The food fight had brought everyone together, turning strangers into friends and making memories that would last a lifetime. As the last fry fell and the laughter finally began to fade, everyone looked around at the mess and grinned. It didn't matter that the restaurant was a disaster zone. What mattered was the fun they'd shared, the new friends they'd made, and the deliciously silly chaos they'd created together. Suddenly, with a loud bang that echoed through the entire restaurant, the kitchen doors flew open again, startling everyone in the dining area. The clatter of dishes and the chatter of customers came to an abrupt halt as all eyes turned toward the swinging doors, wondering what was about to happen next. The tension in the air was so thick you could almost taste it, and for a split second, time seemed to stand still. A very serious-looking man with a crisp uniform and a name tag that read, "Manager Mike," stormed out of the kitchen, his shoes squeaking on the freshly mopped floor. His face was set in a stern expression, and his eyes scanned the room with laser focus. The staff froze in their tracks, and even the rowdiest customers fell silent, sensing that something big was about to go down. Uh-oh, this was not the kind of entrance anyone expected. Manager Mike paused for a moment, taking in the full extent of the food-covered chaos that had erupted in his restaurant. There were fries on the floor, ketchup smeared across tables, and napkins balled up in every corner. It looked like a tornado had blown through the dining area, leaving behind a trail of fast food destruction. His jaw tightened as he surveyed the mess, and everyone braced themselves for the storm they thought was coming. He opened his mouth, clearly about to unleash a lecture or maybe even a yell. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of raising his voice, Manager Mike's stern expression melted away, replaced by a huge, infectious grin. His eyes sparkled with a playful energy, and the tension in the room instantly began to dissolve. It was as if he had flipped a switch, turning a moment of dread into one of surprise and curiosity.
Well, folks, looks like we're having a party. Instead of scolding anyone, Manager Mike threw his arms wide and announced with a booming, cheerful voice that this was no ordinary day. The staff blinked in disbelief, then broke into laughter and applause. Even the customers, who had been expecting a lecture, couldn't help but join in the fun. The whole restaurant seemed to come alive with excitement and relief. Let's get this cleanup started. With a wink and a nod, Manager Mike rallied his team and even invited the customers to join in. Suddenly, everyone was working together, laughing and chatting as they cleaned up the mess. What could have been a disaster turned into a spontaneous celebration, with people high-fiving and sharing stories as they wiped tables and swept the floor. The energy in the room was electric, and it felt like everyone was part of something special.
As the final touch, Manager Mike grabbed a handful of napkins, tossed them high into the air, and watched as they floated down like confetti. The entire restaurant erupted in cheers and laughter, the sound echoing off the walls. In that moment, everyone forgot about the mess and just enjoyed being together, united by a shared sense of joy and teamwork. Manager Mike, it turned out, loved a good time, and he knew exactly how to turn a chaotic moment into a memory everyone would cherish. His marvelous move didn't just save the day, it brought everyone closer together, reminding them that sometimes a little fun is the best way to handle a mess. Finally, it was time for the aliens to leave. They said goodbye to their new friends, covered in ketchup and sprinkles.
Thank you, Earth friends. Your food is surprisingly delightful.
Come back anytime and bring your spaceship. We could use a new drive-thru.
Blip carefully tucked a glowing pickle into his pocket.
This is my favorite souvenir.
I'm full of Earth food and Earth fun.
As their spaceship sputtered back to life, Zorp smiled. He had learned that sometimes the best things in life are messy, surprising, and shared with friends, even if those friends are from another planet, and even if those friends throw French fries at your head.
Next stop, we tell the whole galaxy about Earth food.
And then we come back for more.
The spaceship zoomed into the sky, leaving a trail of glitter and burger scent behind. Burger Bonanza would never be the same, and neither would Zorp, Blip, and Munchie. They had tasted Earth food, made new friends, and learned that sometimes the best adventures are the messiest ones. The end? Or is it just the beginning?